Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters. I'm your host, Mitch. Glad to have you here. Here at the Commander's Quarters, we're all about Commander on a budget. Today we have an episode of Commander's 2 Cents. On episodes like these, I give you my own personal take on topics about the format in general and current news. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. And while you're at it, subscribe and review our podcast as well. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. Today I've got a different kind of episode for you. I'm going to be talking about the weirdest Magic cards of all time. Now, in a previous episode, I did talk about the weirdest things in Magic, which included things like, 15 flying squirrels just killing an Emrakul, which is hilarious and fun, but this one's slightly different. Alright, but actually one thing really quick, there are a ton of comments in that episode asking how Emrakul could die from those squirrels because Emrakul's got protection from colored spells. Those squirrels are permanents, not spells, therefore Emrakul has no protection from them, so there you go. But back to today's episode, both the Emrakul and Squirrel tokens interaction might be funny, but inherently neither of which is a weird card. Now this episode is obviously completely subjective. I think that when it comes to what a weird card is, you kind of just know it in your gut when you see it. So for the cards that I'm going to bring up today, I find weird and you might not, and that's okay. This is just for fun, so please don't take this too seriously, and let's get into it. So today's first weird card that I want to bring up is a pretty old one with Raiding Party. Again, it's a very old card, so I'm going to read its Oracle text. It's an enchantment for 2 and a red, and it says Raiding Party can't be the target of white spells or abilities from white sources. Sacrifice an orc. Each player may tap any number of untapped white creatures they control. For each creature tapped this way, that player chooses up to 2 planes, then destroy all planes that weren't chosen this way by any player. So you're sacrificing orcs to destroy planes, but players can tap their white creatures to save their planes. And if players don't have any white creatures, you just blow up all the planes on the table just by sacrificing 1 orc. Fallen Empires was a very different time in Magic's history indeed. The first time I saw this card, I reread it about 4 times, and I was still confused as to how this was a real card. But now let's move on to another card that I think is weird with Shared Fate. Shared Fate is an enchantment that costs 4 and a blue. It says if a player would draw a card, that player removes the top card of an opponent's library from the game face down instead. Each player may look at and play cards he or she removed from the game with Shared Fate as though they were in their hand. So basically, let's just play with each other's cards instead of our own. This takes the phrase sharing is caring to a whole new level. In a Commander game, this can especially cause some chaos at the table. Because you know that deck that you built around your Commander to work in a certain way, well, let's not do that anymore. I'm going to play your deck and you're going to play with mine. Or we can all just play with this other person's deck, but they can't play with theirs. Again, in my opinion, just a very, very, very weird card. Next up though, I've got a twofer for you with Reality Twist and Naked Singularity. Both are slightly different, so let's go through them one at a time. Reality Twist is an enchantment that costs blue, 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 and it's got a cumulative upkeep of 1 blue, blue. Its Oracle text reads, if tapped for mana, plains produce red, swamps produce green, mountains produce white, and forests produce black instead of any other type. So it jumbles up what all lands produce except for islands. But don't worry, because Naked Singularity handles that. It's an artifact that costs 5 and it's got cumulative upkeep of 3. Its Oracle text reads, if tapped for mana, plains produce red, islands produce green, swamps produce white, mountains produce blue, and forests produce black instead of any other type. If you're playing with a decent amount of basics like I do, good luck keeping track of anything once this hits play. Again, these are just some strange cards that can really cause chaos at a Commander table. And at the very least, you're going to have to keep rereading the cards, remember what produces what, and have fun with that. The next card on this list actually might surprise you with Sacred Mesa. It's a pretty straightforward card, so you might be wondering why is it on this list. It's an enchantment for 2 and a white and says at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Sacred Mesa. Unless you sacrifice a Pegasus, pay 1 and a white, put a 1/1 white Pegasus creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Again, a very straightforward card. You make Pegasus with this, but you also have to sacrifice Pegasus because of this. What in the world is going on at this Mesa? This sacred place that produces Pegasus is also the place where they're sacrificed every turn? So apparently if you don't sacrifice a Pegasus to the Pegasus gods, they take the Mesa away from you. I mean, I get why there's got to be some cost to keep this card in play, because 2 mana for a 1/1 flyer is a pretty good deal when you can just keep doing that over and over again, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Somebody please explain to me the lore and rituals that are going on at the Sacred Mesa place. I'd really like to know. But anyways, that's why I find this one weird. Next up is an especially weird card that is extremely unique with Divine Intervention. It's an enchantment for 6 white, and it enters the battlefield with 2 intervention counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you remove an intervention counter from it, and then when you remove that last intervention counter, the game is a draw. The game that all players are playing to win is a draw. What? You just played an 8 mana enchantment that I'm sure you had to protect, and it took some time to get those intervention counters off, and you did that so that you could end the game in a draw. Why is this a card, and why was it made? Wizards, please let me know. The same question goes to Wizards for this next card, which is legal in Legacy, Vintage, and even Commander. Goblin Game is a sorcery that costs 5 red. It says each player hides at least 1 item, then all players reveal them simultaneously. Each player loses life equal to the number of items they revealed. The player who revealed the fewest item then loses half their life rounded up. If 2 or more players are tied for the fewest, each loses half their life rounded up. So you know this Magic game that we're playing right now, let's stop doing that and let's just play how many things do I have in my hand? And when it comes to what like an item is considered, could you just like take a piece of paper and like rip it into like 12 pieces and then put that in your hand? Is that 1 piece of paper or is that 12? Good luck being a judge when it comes to this one. Speaking of cards that say let's stop playing this game and do something completely different, there's Sharzad. It's a sorcery for white, and it says players play a Magic sub-game using their libraries as their decks. Each player who doesn't win the sub-game loses half their life rounded up. This is essentially the exact same thing as saying, hey, I'd like to see this one game take twice as long. And all that for just 2 mana. It's really such a shame that this one's banned in Commander. Oh, darn. But let's move on and as far away from this card as possible by going on to something like General Jarkeld. He's a 1/2 human soldier that can tap and then you choose 2 target blocked attacking creatures. If each of those creatures could be blocked by all creatures that the other is blocked by, each creature that's blocking exactly one of those attacking creatures stops blocking it and is blocked by the other attacking creature, activates ability only during the declare blocker step. I mean, I could be reading this wrong, but basically you're just switching what creatures are blocking one with the other as long as all of them are legal blockers. I mean, it makes kind of sense, but I think the way that it's worded just really throws me off. It's just a weird card to me. All right, I promise I'll stop picking on weird white cards after this one, so just one more. And that one is going to be Alabaster Leech. It's a 1/3 leech that costs a white, and it says, white spells you cast cost white more to cast. That seems like a very fair trade-off. Yeah, all my white spells now cost more to cast, but hey, I've got a 1/3, so, I'm definitely ahead. How in the world is this a thing, much less why is it a rare? Outside of a Zedruu deck, I don't really see what this card does. I mean, maybe that's just it. Maybe this leech is just for donation purposes. Regardless, I always found it to be a bit strange. So if you know why this card exists, please let me know in the comments below. I could be wrong, but I don't think a 1/3 was too powerful back then either. All right, but moving forward, let's talk about everyone's favorite tribe, Eyes. That's right, Eye is a creature type. So all your little shapeshifters and even Morofon, they're also just eyes. They're going to blink you to death, especially Evil Eye of Orms by Gore. All right, let's just start off by dissecting that name real quick. Orms by Gore, I don't even really know what to say about that. But the fact that this is called Evil Eye is not just eye, they have to let you know that this eye is absolutely evil. This Evil Eye is a 3/6 eye that costs 4 and a black. And it's so evil that your non-eye creatures you control can't attack. An Evil Eye of Orms by Gore can't be blocked except by walls. That's right, the only thing that can stop a blinking eye is a wall because it doesn't blink. But unless your other creatures are eyes as well, they're too afraid to attack. Anyways, moving on. Next up is a personal favorite of mine, and I still want to build a deck around this card. And that card is Return of the Night Stalkers. That's right, everyone's other favorite creature type outside of eyes, we've got Night Stalkers. It's a sorcery for 5 black, and it says return all Night Stalker permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then destroy all swamps you control. Everyone knows that the most powerful creatures in Magic are Night Stalkers, so it's well worth losing all your swamps for that. But keep in mind that shapeshifters, while being eyes, are also Night Stalkers, so you could make this work. But speaking of eyes, let's move on to a very terrifying looking card. And that would be Sensation Gorger. Now the effect on this card isn't really that weird, it's the art, but let's go through the effect first really quick. It's a 2/2 Goblin Shaman that costs 1 red and has kinship. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it shares a creature type with Sensation Gorger, you may reveal it. If you do, each player discards his or her hand, then draws 4 cards. So Sensation Gorger is obviously looking out for a buddy, and when he sees that buddy, everyone discards their hand and draws 4 cards. That's not too weird. The weird thing is when you actually look at and start to dissect this picture. Sensation Gorger has like a clockwork orange kind of eyes open thing going on. It also has the most intense hearing aids that I've ever seen. It has a skunk on its nose and a frog in its mouth. And I don't even want to get into the fingernail things. The artist here, Matt Cavada, definitely nailed this though. This truly defines what a Sensation Gorger is. And because he nailed it so well, it still haunts my dreams. But my final weird card for today is actually one that was in my very first deck tech on this channel with Nezahal, and that is Hot Soup. This is a very weird card that's got a close place to my heart. It's an equipment for 1, and it's got an equip cost of 3, and it says equipped creature can't be blocked. Whenever equipped creature is dealt damage, destroy it. Its flavor text is very fitting as well. It says, "Coming through!" So basically what you're doing is you're giving one of your creatures this big cauldron of hot soup to carry around. No other creatures want to block it because if they do, they're going to get hot soup spilled on them, and that's not good. But if that creature's ever dealt damage in some other way, it's going to spill that soup all over itself and die because of that. It's an extremely weird, off-the-wall, and flavorful card, and I love every piece of it. And there's even a Wizards article with the backstory for this card. That's right, Hot Soup has more lore than some legendary creatures. So go ahead and try to wrap your mind around that. Anyways, with that, this show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your favorite weird card is and why. And make sure you're following us on social media for more updates and sneak peeks on future episodes. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons who help make this show possible. I truly couldn't do any of this without your support. If you want to support this channel directly, consider becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, including being able to vote on future commanders for deck techs. There are even tiers where you get your own personalized deck tech dedicated to you. You can check out all the Patreon tiers and rewards at patreon.com/commandersquarters. If you haven't already, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Here at the Commander's Quarters, we're all about budget commander. So while you're at it, go ahead and check out some of our other types of episodes. And with that, I'm out of here. Thanks again and have a good one.